Hello, hello. What's up? Morning. Hola. How's it going? I wasn't entirely sure if I was gonna stream today, if I'm being completely honest, but I said, might as well. Might as well. Just because we streamed so much this week and then we kind of like had longer streams in general. Hi, Assassin. Oh, man. But it's going to be a super short-ish chill stream today just because I didn't really have any plans to do anything major today anyway. Hey, Kate. Low latency is my friend. How are you? I'm doing great. How are you? Yeah, Chell. I don't know. I had fun doing the last tier list. I thought might as well do another one. And also, did you guys know you have to pay for GeoGuessr now? I didn't know that. It's like, okay, it's so dumb. It's like $2 a month, but it's still, you have to pay for it now. I remember when GeoGuessr was free. Like, it's nothing, right? Like $2, that's like nothing. But the fact that it's not free anymore is kind of a bummer. What's up, Chars? 1 a.m. for you again. Good morning. You tried playing it at school. Yeah, you get one free game of GeoGuessr a day. A day. You get one free game, not even like an hour. Yeah, it's a day. Snail, Chell, Urfina, Mommy Ultra. How's it going? Hey, Issa. Yeah, green screen. Yeah, I'm trying out the green screen thing. We'll see how long it lasts for, but right now that's what we're working with. Yep. What's up? What's up, Lacoon? How are you? Kramer on the road. On the road again. Hey, Becca. It's Marshy. Hello. How's it going, folks? How are you all? How is your Saturday morning so far? Today, just like the food one, I don't feel like today's gonna be as controversial as the fast food tier list. I feel like if you have any interest in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, most people's opinion on the Marvel Cinematic Universe is fairly the same, I would say. I think we all have the ones that we know are good and the ones that we know are bad. But I kind of want to say, like, I kind of want to like talk about it a little bit. You know, I've been really into Loki lately, and I know a lot of you all are really have been watching the shows that are on Disney Plus too, and so I figured, you know, let's see where these rank. Let's see where these place in regards to, now that I'm looking at them all, right? Now that I'm looking at them all, which ones do I actually like more than others? Shiny, hello. Mug, California. Good old California. Do an Adam Sandler tier list? Oh, God. Oh, geez. Dude, those all look... All right, Happy Gilmore, Big Daddy. Yeah, that's fine. But... Oh, my goodness. Hey, Tusk. What's up, Phoenix? But yeah, oh my gosh, that'd be kind of wacky. 1 second, I'm actually gonna do some here really quick. Here we go. And then whoever made these ratings they're awful. This S, this is A, this is B. Oh no, this is A. There we go. This is B. This is C, V, C, and D. But yeah, so today, for those that are joining us, as you can see, today's going to be kind of a short-ish stream today. Yeah, Felipe, I've been keeping up with all the Disney Plus shows. I'm caught up on Loki. I've been watching them every single week that they've been on. This is actually the first time in, like, for me, like, television, or rather, like, shows where I've actually followed a show from week to week to week. Usually I just like binge everything. So this is the first time in a long time that I've had to wait from week to week for the next episode, and it's not cool. I hate it. What's up, Ron? Yeah, Charms, thank you. I was playing it last night with Angela, and I was like, you know what? I'm skipping everything. I'm just going to embrace it and say that that's all I'm doing. Is skipping every single relevant cutscene, which they're all relevant, let's be honest. Yeah, Issa, I'm glad that they kind of addressed that too, because that's who he is in the comics, you know, and I'm glad that they were able to like bring that into the MCU as well. It's nice that they addressed it. Sam, what's up, dude? Are you done streaming? No, there it is. I was like, wait, I thought you were still streaming when I was offline. I can do that too. I can do that too. What's up, everybody? Why is everybody crying? Why is everybody so sad? Oh my gosh. Sam said I was doing a tier list. I cannot with this guy. What's up, Sam? What's up, Raiders? Welcome on in. How's everybody doing? Yes, we are doing a tier list today. We're just taking it easy today. Oh my gosh. Hope everyone's having a great day. Thanks for stopping in. Mods, can we get a shout out for Crunchy Samuel Island, please? Thank you so much. How's Among Us, dude? Dude, so you've been playing this submerged map for so long. Like, so is that like available to everybody? I know that the 15 player rooms are, but last stream I had a cardboard cutout of Loki. I joined that we should put it in our living room window. We lived on Sorority Row of the university we attended, and the place we were had it so the living room was on the second floor. We were dubbed the Loki house of the sorority now, and my roommate's friends / sisters would tell her that they were scared of the figure in a window staring down at them until they were... I would say that's scary no matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter. Thanks, Ron. He's called Tom now. New map is not open to the public just yet. Gotcha. Okay. Hey, Kate. Good to see you. Submerged is free to the public late July. It's whitelisted, so I can't even host submerged lobbies. Oh, so is it only Falcone who can host the lobbies? Sounds good, Snail. It probably won't be as intense as the fast food ranking tier list that we did, Katie. It should still be interesting though. I'm kind of curious to see if anybody has any differing opinions, because I would say that most people rank the Marvel Cinematic Universe things fairly similarly. You know, I would say that most opinions shared across the entire universe is pretty much the same, but we'll see. No worries, Monty. Have a wonderful breakfast. Thank you so much. Yeah, Sabrina. For those that don't know, we did finish Detroit Become Human yesterday, and man, what an emotional roller coaster. For those that are wondering why the tier list is so small, 1 second. It is not going to be that way when we get to it. 1 second. Oops. Yeah, it's gonna be like this. Double Ryan. Hello. Boom. So yeah, that's what it is. Only those that helped and supported with the creating of the new map. That sounds good. Can I just listen to you do the tier list and go to sleep? Hey, that's on you. No opposition from me. But yeah, I've been really into Loki lately. It's been super duper good, and man, I had a lot of doubts about the Disney Plus shows that they were releasing, but I think it's safe to say for most of us that what they have been putting out has been fantastic. Um, yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, episode 4 is, oh my gosh, I'm ready for episode 5. I actually like screamed at my TV during episode 4. It was insane. But we're gonna get started here in a moment. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and hop over now. So I already stopped the music. We're gonna go ahead and hop over now. Boop. All right. Let me see. Can I do this? There we go. What if I can F11? Yeah, no, Lolo. Wait, hold on, Lolo. What episode are you on? Thanks, Anna. If you're on only episode 1 at this point, honestly, I would say if you can help yourself, just wait until it's done and then binge watch the whole thing. Honestly, that's kind of how I feel. You're on episode 3. Oh, well then go ahead. Never mind. You're good. Just watch all of it then. You're fine. So I'm gonna try to place these in order of when they were released. It doesn't look like they're organized in what order they were released. So it went Hulk, I believe then Iron Man was the first one. I'm not doing it in order of like plot timeline. Where's Iron Man? Iron Man, and then I believe Thor came out. Right? Was it Iron Man, Thor, and then Captain America, and then the Avengers? Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, Avengers? Question mark. I know. Okay, so obviously WandaVision and Captain and Falcon and the and then I think Iron Man 2 came out. Hello? Iron Man 2. Here it is. Iron Man 2 is before Avengers 1. Oh, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. That's right. And then Avengers. I know Endgame and Infinity War came out like this. So this is obviously going to be spoilers. If you haven't watched one of these movies, you're going to get spoiled on it. So just keep that in mind. Civil War came out after Age of Ultron. Ant-Man and the Wasp came out after Infinity War. Spider-Man Far From Home also came out after... Or no. Spider-Man Homecoming came out after Infinity War. And then Ant-Man and the Wasp. Guardians of the Galaxy... Guardians of the Galaxy came out definitely after Avengers #1. Thor Ragnarok came out after... Did Thor Ragnarok come out before Civil War or after? I can't remember. Hey, what's up, Jelly? Captain Winter and the Soldier Falcon. Yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp came out. Here's Thor: The Dark World. Ant-Man definitely came out after Age of Ultron, which is right here. I believe. Thor Ragnarok was after Civil War. Interesting. I swear Civil War came out afterwards, but this whole bottom section seems correct. When did Black Panther come out? Volume 2. Okay, so we need to switch these. Volume 2 needs to go down here, if anything. Guardians of the Galaxy came out after Infinity War. No, that's impossible because they were in it. Wait, what movie were... Black Panther was after Civil War? Was it really? So when Civil War, Black Panther... You know, I could look this up, but Black Panther was before Infinity War. Yeah, everything was before Infinity War except for... So everything after Infinity War is correct. There were only 2 movies released before Infinity War and Endgame. Black Panther got introduced in Civil War. Oh, true, Issa, true. Black Panther, so Civil War, Black Panther, Thor Ragnarok, Infinity War. That seems right. Actually, when did Captain Marvel come out? Captain Marvel came out after Infinity War. No. Yes. Guardians was after Iron Man 2. Where's Iron Man 2? Dude, I'm so confused. Okay, we'll say that this is about right. Wait, where does Guardians 2 go? Guardians 2, I think I accidentally mixed them up. What's up, Bebop? Yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh god, Doctor Strange. Captain Marvel before Endgame. Yes, definitely. Yeah, I'm just gonna look it up. I'm tired of this. Hold on. MCU movie release timeline. All right. So we have Iron Man. Iron Man came out before the Incredible Hulk? Get out of town. Okay. Iron Man 2. Wow, they went straight into Iron Man 2. Thor, Captain America, The Avengers. That's phase 1. Phase 2, Iron Man 3. They really pushed out Tony Stark. I guess I had to. He was like the flagship at the time. Thor: The Dark World, Winter Soldier, Guardians 1. Doctor Strange is going somewhere else. I know that. Age of Ultron. And then Ant-Man was the end of phase 2. That's weird. Phase 3, Civil War, Doctor Strange. There's where Doctor Strange goes. Guardians 2, Homecoming. Really? Oh, where's Far From Home? That's what's supposed to go there. I was looking at, dude, all the Marvel posters are a disaster. Can we agree on that? Can we agree that most of the Marvel posters are at least just an absolute mess? Black Panther, Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, Endgame. Far From Home came out after Endgame. That makes sense. Okay. They all look the same. It's just like big character, side characters. Except for Captain Marvel. I'm surprised they didn't add Nick Fury to the poster, but I guess that would have kind of like that would have kind of given it away, but maybe not really. So we got some of them. We got most of the placement in the phases correct, but otherwise that was pretty much it. Not including shows. No, the shows are down here. There's WandaVision and Captain Falcon and Winter Soldier. Jeez, man. I'll get it right one day. Okay. So, let's get right into it. First of all, happy Saturday, everybody. Thanks for joining me. For those that are just stopping in here, this is going to be a shorter stream than usual. We are just kind of chilling out from our Detroit Become Human playthrough that we did all this week. Also, for those that don't know, we are also doing our subathon on Saturday. I'm not going to be streaming on Friday in preparation, just in case Saturday's stream ends up getting to a point where we're streaming for 24 hours again. So I'm going to be getting ready for that, or rather just resting up just in case. If it doesn't get to 24 hours, that's all good. If it does, then I'll be ready for it. Hey, what's up, Tabby? I think that's pretty much it. So this week's stream schedule is pretty much going to be exactly the same. Tuesday, Wednesday stream, Thursday, and then now Friday off, and then Saturday potential 24-hour stream. So we'll see. Like we played it Tuesday through Friday. Yep. Yesterday we actually did a 5-hour stream to finish it. Since this stream includes spoilers, can we talk spoilers too? Yeah. I mean, the thing is, we're gonna kind of have to, right? So for those that have missed any one of the previous movies that want to watch them, I would recommend that you probably stay away from today's stream. If you want to watch it, if you don't really have any desire to watch them, and you're fine with just like a quick recap or rundown as we talk about them, then by all means enjoy. But we're gonna get into this. Yeah, sounds good, Ali. And some of these movies are like what? They're almost like 10 years old at this point. So I'm not like, honestly, if you don't know about the plot of Iron Man. Like that's you know. So Iron Man 1. Origin story of Iron Man. Obviously kickstarted the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Always a good movie. I think I'm gonna place this one in A. Um, just great, just wonderful. I don't really think there's anything about it that I can say negatively. I'm sure that there are some points in it that are kind of bad, but Robert Downey Jr. and just the whole cast in general really set the kind of like the mood for this whole thing. And if that movie had failed, this probably would not happen. I think they would have maybe even given the Hulk a shot, but even the studio had come out and said, you know, we were taking a chance on this because these are all at the time like B or C list superheroes. A lot of the franchises that a lot of people had been more familiar with, such as Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, X-Men, all of those franchises had already been sold by Disney because they were getting ready to go under. So if this had failed, we wouldn't be here right now, I think. So Iron Man A, it's not an S tier movie because it's an origin story. And I don't know. But see, some of them later on might get a little bit different. This we're going to be changing as we go along here. It's more or less just like putting stuff out on the list and then kind of like refining it as we go along. Leanne, I could make an argument that it's an S tier movie based on the following movies that get placed here. So we will see. But currently, I would say Iron Man is an A. It's a pretty good movie. You can't go wrong with it. I would say if it's on, like if it's randomly just on or turned on, I could watch it from beginning to end, no problem, and enjoy my time doing it. So right now, Iron Man is A tier. Yep, can't really think of anything that I hate about it. The Hulk. This is a movie I feel like a lot of people forgot about. One, there was only one of it. Two, Edward Norton only played the role one time. After this, for those that don't know, he had a gigantic falling out with the studio. He wanted more input, creativity wise, into the movie and how the Hulk was created and how his story was fleshed out. So what they did was they obviously gave him the Terrence Howard situation where they just recast him, and they made it that instead of Edward Norton, they cast Mark Ruffalo. I think definitely good casting change in regards to character. I think Mark Ruffalo did a very good job. In regards to movie, though, as an origin story, I think it's fine, but when I watched it, there really wasn't a lot for me to become invested in. I enjoyed the scenes with the Hulk, but other than that, I didn't really care for the scenes where Bruce Banner was kind of like off doing his own thing, trying to figure out a way to control the gamma radiation and the things that would turn him into the Hulk. You know what I mean? So when he fought Abomination, that was fine. But that's the last 10 minutes of the movie. And right, Issa and Kate, you've never seen the movie? You can get away with not watching it because the only thing that this did was it introduced Thunderbolt Ross and Tony Stark together. There is a post-credit scene in this movie where Tony Stark goes to a bar after Thunderbolt Ross kind of like drinks away his sorrows of failing to capture the Hulk, and then they meet, and that's pretty much it. It's very reminiscent of the Nick Fury meeting Tony Stark in his house at the end of Iron Man 1. So it kind of made sense. But you don't actually have to watch this movie to understand anything else in this whole cinematic universe. And like I said, the only thing I really cared for in this movie was the fight scenes with the Hulk. So, D tier. I think a reboot of the movie could also be a good idea, Felipe. I think that for a lot of us, I think even we wondered when they were going to make a Mark Ruffalo standalone film. And I'm surprised, honestly, that they made a Black Widow standalone film before they made a Hulk one. But it's so strange to think that like the Hulk was supposed to be one of the main characters, and then he ended up being very similar to how Black Widow and Hawkeye were treated in the Avengers, where he was more or less just kind of like a side star to the main cast of Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man. So D tier for the Hulk. You can literally take the Hulk out of this entire thing, and you would never know that it ever existed, and you would not be worse for the experience. If you were to ever watch the cinematic universe from beginning to end, you could take it out, and nothing would happen. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, don't stress. You're not missing anything. Then we go straight into Iron Man 2. So Iron Man 2 introduced War Machine. It also, like I mentioned, reintroduced cannot think of his name. The recasting for Terrence Howard. Shoot. I cannot think of the guy's name. Anyways, so Rhodey was recast. This introduced Don Cheadle. Thank you, Lolo. Don Cheadle replaced Terrence Howard in Iron Man 2, and this also introduced War Machine. It was a callback to a moment in Iron Man 1 when Rhodey looked at a full-on silver Iron Man suit and basically said, next time. Obviously foreshadowing War Machine coming. I think a lot of people already kind of saw that coming, and then, of course, the poster kind of gives it away. It's just War Machine right in the background. This movie also introduced S.H.I.E.L.D., and it also introduced Black Widow as well. This movie more or less dealt with Tony trying to... he already saved kind of, I guess, California, I think is where he was living in Iron Man 1, by stopping Obadiah, and in this one he's kind of refining his persona. He's refining the Iron Man suit to make it a little bit more efficient. He's dealing with stress and all that stuff because he, the arc reactor in his chest, he was still trying to figure out because it started to become a very important part of his life. However, man, dude, the villain in this movie, Whiplash, if I'm honest, man, I think Justin Hammer is more the bad guy in this one. I know that he's featured prominently on the poster as well, but I don't think that Whiplash in general is the villain of this movie. I think that Justin Hammer is. And because of that, I think it actually takes away from the movie because I feel like they focused on the wrong person. I feel like if they had just focused purely on Justin Hammer, not only could that have possibly put Sam Rockwell's version of Justin Hammer in the movie later on, which would be fantastic, but Whiplash is forgettable. His motivation was fine. To recap for those that don't remember, Whiplash's father worked with Howard Stark in regards to, I think, creating weapons and stuff like that. And then what he realized was that Whiplash's dad was selling them on the black market, I think. And so he had him, deported back to Russia, where he went into an alcoholic stupor and he raised Whiplash in a bad environment and stuff like that. So motivation wise, the villain is fine. But overall, it's just not that great of a movie. I would much rather watch Iron Man than Iron Man 2. I think I was totally fine watching Iron Man 2 the first time and then not really having any desire to watch it ever again. Whiplash was Mickey Rourke. That is correct. Mickey Rourke played Whiplash. Yep. And, the character itself had some pretty interesting lines and stuff. If you make God bleed, people will cease to believe in him and stuff like that. And just his scenes with Tony were fine. The Iron Man scenes versus Whiplash there was only like 2, right? It was at the racetrack and then at the end, where Whiplash showed up for all of maybe 3 minutes with this gigantic suit and then died. Like, that's the silliest thing for Whiplash. He went through this whole process of like stealing Justin Hammer's technology and stealing Iron Man's technology to make this gigantic, almost like Ironmonger style suit, and then the fight lasted 3 minutes. The fight with all of the hammer drones was way more interesting because you got to see Whiplash and Iron Man kick butt for 5 minutes. They were like, it was that scene from the trailer that everybody got hyped for. They were like shooting all the robots and they were jumping around and they were like doing the back-to-back kind of like shooting everything. That was awesome. and then Whiplash comes down and it just like ruins everything. So I think I'm gonna place Iron Man 2 in B. I don't think it's C because I think that the storyline with Tony in this one, as well as his interaction with Rhodey and stuff like that, was fine. I still don't really understand the fight scene where Tony. I get that Tony was drunk, but like, how in the world did Rhodey figure out how to use the Iron Man suit like that fast? That was my biggest gripe with that movie. They had that fight in his house that lasted a little bit, and then Rhodey won. I know that Tony was drunk, but like, I feel like even a drunk driver drives a little bit better than a new driver. Does that make sense? Like, because at that point, at least it's muscle memory. So I don't know. I never really understood that. He Googled it. Yeah, just on the fly. He had whatever AI was in the helmet Googling how to use Iron Man Mark IV suit. So yeah, right now, Iron Man 2, B. Introduction to Black Widow was the coolest though. That's fair enough, I would say. Yeah. Her kind of transition from just being like this, oh, I'm just here to assist, to then actually being like the secret agent. Totally fine. And then of course, Shield. Working for Shield. Justice League pre-Snyder cut. Oh boy. Well, that's not even in the MCU. Thor. I feel like the first half of Thor is good. I feel like the moments where he was able to be Thor and the moments where he was like figuring out like how to like live on Earth for a little bit, I feel like that was all fun. I still love the scene where he's in the restaurant and he's drinking the coffee and he likes it and he throws the mug on the ground and says another. Like that's fun because like he's used to royalty, he's used to all this stuff and stuff like that, and so that's just what he's used to. So I think that I really liked I like I said, I think I liked the beginning half of Thor. I do feel like there was a lot of emphasis placed on the Jane storyline though, which kind of took me out of the last half of it. Now that I'm looking at it, Thor is the only one who had movies primarily based on relationship. Now that I think about it, the first one dealt with more or less with his relationship with Jane, and the second one definitely dealt with his relationship with Jane. Most other characters, their relationship with another character kind of took a backseat to them figuring out their own stuff. But these two movies, now that I think about it, they definitely dealt more with his relationship, and I don't think I like that. Yeah, I think I'm gonna keep Thor in B. If I'd rather watch Iron Man than Thor, but I do like the first half of Thor, so we'll say B. Captain America: The First Avenger. I think I'm comfortable putting it in the S tier. I think I like it more than Iron Man. Chris Evans, dude, Chris Evans just killed it. For those that don't know, Wyatt Russell, who actually played John in the Captain or the Falcon and Winter Soldier Disney Plus series, he actually auditioned for Captain America. And I know that in hindsight, we can't really see that now, but also in hindsight, Chris Evans, I mean, like, this was like the perfect casting. I know that there were a lot of people who may have been kind of on the fence about it because up until that point, he had already played, for those that don't know, he played Johnny Storm in the Fantastic Four series. And so he had already even mentioned that he was skeptical about signing on a 6-picture contract with Disney because if it failed or he started to get bored with it, then obviously he would be stuck in something for 6 movies. So almost like 8 to 12 years of his life. But I think that the Captain America origin story is just great. I do like that it was kind of also taken, like, because it was taken out of time as well. Uh, with what they were working with to try and bring it into the current timeline, like of the MCU in regards to where it was. I think it was great. I loved all of Chris Evans' interactions, or rather, I loved all of Steve's interactions with every single character. His character development in general, from just being a scrawny kid who just wanted to help the little guy because he was one himself, never losing that moral compass the entire time. And I think honestly, Captain America, the movies in general, they have some of the best like patriotic, kind of like one-liners and superhero one-liners in the entire series. I think what they've given Chris Evans and Steve Rogers in these films is just great. And so Captain America, S tier. What's up, Annika? How are you this evening? I think it's like late for you. I'm pretty sure it is. I think it's like 11. How are you? um Boy Scout type lines, yeah. but it's so great. It's so great. So yeah, I think Captain America First Avenger, S tier. It's good. It's really good. I could watch it over and over and over again, and yeah, it's super good. I totally would want to watch it more than Iron Man. Yeah, sounds good, Annika. No worries. No worries. Avengers is A. It's not S because I don't know. I have some. I wouldn't say I have some problems with Avengers, but it's totally fine for what it is. It brought all the characters together. They're fighting against this. They're fighting against this one singular entity, and they all have to come together for the purpose of saving the world. Cap's suit is one. Yeah, the suit that they gave Captain America in this movie, they tried to play it off as being super awesome, like when he's walking up to it in the helicarrier to like suit up, right? That was the big thing for this movie. I don't how many times did they say like suit up in this movie? I think they tried to make that like the tagline or something. But yeah, Cap suit is definitely one. In addition, there were a few moments during the Battle of New York where they highlighted this waiter. They highlighted this, rather waitress. They highlighted this waitress during all the Captain America scenes, and it came out later on that I guess Joss Whedon had intended for this waitress to be kind of like a love story thing with Steve, and I hated that because I just it took a like who is this waitress? Ashley Johnson. That's right, Ashley Johnson, the woman who plays Ellie in The Last of Us. I was like, what is the point of this person? Why are we constantly highlighting this? And at first I thought it was like they tried to give the audience the what it looked like to be on the ground by, like saying like this is what the people in New York are dealing with, and they chose to do so by highlighting this waitress. But once it came out that it was actually just supposed to be a planned love story for Chris Evans, I was like, no, get out of here. Are you kidding me? And so, don't even, dude. Age of Ultron. When we'll get there when we get there. Did Joss Whedon direct Age of Ultron too? I feel like no. The directing style seems a bit different. I'm gonna say no, but if he did, I wouldn't be very surprised. Hey, what's up, Mr. Green? So Captain America's suit, the supposed love story that was getting ready to happen that never actually happened. Hawkeye. Oh my god, Hawkeye, dude. Hawkeye. So not Mark Ruffalo. Jeremy Renner has already come out and said that he hated his character in the first Avengers because of the fact that he didn't have like. This is technically the second movie that introduced us to Hawkeye. Hawkeye had a very small role in the first Thor movie. For those that don't remember, when Thor goes to get his hammer for the first time, Coulson calls on someone to take him out. And instead of grabbing a sniper rifle, he grabs a bow and arrow, gets into like a little crane device, goes up top, and that's Hawkeye. He's getting ready to take out Thor. At which point, Coulson says, hold on. And they end up arresting him instead. So that was the first time that we ever get to see Hawkeye, but it's only for like, right, 30 seconds. We see him then in the Avengers, and within 10 minutes, he's mind controlled into a zombie. And then for a good hour and a half, all he's doing is serving as Loki's kind of just like his slave. Dr. Selvig was also Loki's slave, but he actually had a role in the first Thor movie, you know? So it felt like a disservice to Hawkeye because he was just turned into a slave. I don't know. It sucked. It was dumb. Yeah, Jeremy Renner's awesome though. I'm a big Renner fan as well. Loki was the highlight, let's be honest here. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The Avengers movie was done with no further purpose than to simply just bring all the characters together to let everybody know, hey, here's the payoff you guys were looking for. They're all working together, right? That's pretty much all it was. But yeah, Loki was definitely the highlight for this movie. And you had some fun moments in there. You know, you had the puny god moment with the Hulk and stuff like that. And you know, their little interactions and stuff on the helicarrier. But otherwise, Hawkeye gives one of the best. Oh yeah, when we'll get to Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron does have some moments in it, but certainly I would say that it's definitely still more bad than it is good. So Avengers, we'll put with A. Iron Man 3, dude. Oh my god. Iron Man. Okay, it's not as bad as the Hulk. If anything, I think Hulk might be the only movie that stays in D. Iron Man 3, I had. Oh god. All right, so we have a PTSD Tony Stark who is like, he is obsessed with Iron Man suits because of the events of Avengers 1. He went through a wormhole that led to space and he saw all these aliens and he just, I mean, he went crazy because like his whole world was shattered, you know? It's the basis for a lot of stuff that happens in phase 2 because of his PTSD. So in this movie, he has like 1 billion suits. He's been obsessed with it day in and day out. And the villain in this movie was the Mandarin. And oh god, man, the origin story of what was the name of the guy who was like the Mandarin? I can't remember, like the scientist guy, not Ben Kingsley's character. I can't remember his character name, but the reveal that Ben Kingsley's character was actually an actor was the biggest slap in the face. Oh my god, I hated that, dude, because like the trailers looked so good, right? And not only that, but they used a villain and an organization that was well known for being enemies of Tony Stark and Iron Man, and they were like, he's a British actor, he's a drunk, that's it. And a lot of people were saying like they've ruined the 10 rings for the Marvel Cinematic Universe because they basically said that the 10 rings is nothing more than just a fictional thing that was made up to get back at Tony Stark. Now, obviously, we're changing that with, I think it's Shang-Chi or Shang-Chi and the 10 rings coming up shortly, which looks awesome, by the way. Shang-Chi. I don't know how it's pronounced. I don't know if someone can tell me. That would be great. So I'm curious to see how they're going to address it because, like, for me, I'm not saying like unforgiving, but I want to know like how are you supposed to explain the 10 rings that you guys used in Iron Man 3? That's where I am with it. So they are reusing it again, and I like I said, I am wondering how they're going to explain away the fact that they essentially use that as the premise for Iron Man 3, pretty much until about an hour and a half into the movie. Hey Violet. So, oh, that's how Mr. Sunday Movies does it? All right, then Shang-Chi it is. They wanted the Dragon Balls. Oh, God. Next up, tier list. Television shows that were turned into movies. I think they would all be put in the D tier list. So, yeah, Iron Man 3. I think it did a good job of highlighting PTSD. Someone mentioned it in the chat not too long ago. His portrayal of PTSD and Tony Stark and what he was going through was good. And at the end of the movie, he gets rid of the arc reactor, which I have a problem with, which we will get into. Which movie is it that we get into it? I can't remember which one. Yeah. No, that wasn't the problem. My problem was, so at the end of Iron Man 3, he says, I went to doctors who specialized in taking the shrapnel out of my heart, and so they did. And I just sat there and I was just like, so why didn't you do that before? This thing that's killing you, you finally decide now that it's a good time for you to stop worrying about the fact that it's killing you. That never really made sense to me. I know that it was supposed to be like his send off for his character, like coming to peace with just being Tony Stark and not necessarily being all about Iron Man. But I don't know about you guys. If I had the technology to just make those suits no matter what, which he totally proved that he did, because before the suit was being powered through the arc reactor. You could even see in the beginning of Iron Man 1, whenever he would charge up the blast with his hand, the energy would come out of the arc reactor and shoot out through his hand. But in the beginning of Iron Man 3, he's telekinetically bringing all of the suit to him, which shows that it doesn't actually need to be powered through the arc reactor anymore. Everything of all the suits that he's been making, they no longer need this arc reactor thing to power them anymore. So why do you still have it? So that was one of my biggest problems with Iron Man 3 and the ending of it. I felt the ending was super kind of like, didn't really make a lot of sense to me. Thor: The Dark World. Does anybody actually remember Thor: The Dark World? I I would go so far as to say that it's about as memorable as the Hulk. That's a high rating. So this introduced the second Infinity Stone, I believe. I believe the first one was introduced technically through Loki and the Scepter, but this one introduced the Reality Stone. But again, this movie focused heavily on his relationship with Jane. I mean, look at it. That's the reason why she's featured even so prominently on the what's it called? On the poster, Like, look at this. This isn't like a superhero movie poster. This is like a Lord of the Rings, like, I don't know, Milady type of movie poster. I don't know. I don't like some of the action sequences were were fine. Isn't she pretty much asleep for the entire movie? I think so too. I think so she was. But Milady. So Jane, by the way, for those that don't know, Jane is coming back in Thor Love and Thunder, and it looks like she's going to be playing I think she's not called Lady Thor, but Jane does take up the mantle of Thor in the comic books. And when they revealed Natalie Portman as being cast again in Thor Love and Thunder, they did give her the hammer to hold, so she will be the next Thor. I don't know what they're going to do with Chris Hemsworth Thor, but we'll see. So yeah, for now, I don't. I don't know. And then even Christopher Eccleston, I felt wasn't really given a good opportunity to shine as a villain too. Christopher Eccleston is awesome. I'll leave it and see for now. I might change my mind later. You're gonna notice a pattern here with the Captain America movies, dude. Winter Soldier. Actually, okay, if we're gonna do this in regards to order, so if we're gonna order them inside of the tier list as well, Winter Soldier is, at this point of movies that have been released, Winter Soldier is the best movie that Disney had released for the Marvel Cinematic Universe at that time. Within the first 5 minutes, we have a brand new Captain America stealth style suit. He is tasked with just doing superhero stuff, really, right? Like, we get to meet Sam and we get to see a little bit of Chris Evans' life outside of being a superhero, him trying to adjust to the world. He has a notebook where he writes down all the things that he wants to, learn about and see that he missed while he was frozen. And we also get a nice introduction to Sam. Sam being a war veteran who now works for the VA, helping other veterans who are dealing with things like PTSD and stuff like that. Very, very good. And this is also the first movie that was directed by the God, what are their names again? I keep forgetting the directors' names. It's the same people who directed like the Civil War and stuff like that. The brothers, essentially. Golly, man, I just cannot think of their names at this point. The Russo brothers, that's right. So the Russos, they definitely showed why they deserve to also be the directors of Infinity War and Endgame when it came out later on, and not Joss Whedon. Thank you. But yeah, the Winter Soldier. Oh my gosh, man. The action sequences were wonderful. The writing was great. The beginning, middle, and end was fantastic. I don't really think there's any one thing I hated about the Winter Soldier. The elevator fight is iconic. So iconic so that they even brought it back in a later movie. There was a moment where I thought maybe they were doing a romantic relationship with Black Widow and Captain America, and I'm totally glad they didn't go that route. That's something that I feel like a lot of people thought was going to happen, because it's kind of cliched, right? I feel like it's kind of cliched. Like, you have a main character, like really, really cool guy, and then you have like his really, like, you have the really attractive, like, side, not necessarily side, she is a side character in this movie ish, but I feel like a lot of people were expecting maybe they were going to go the romantic route, and I'm so glad that they didn't. Because that, like, it also adds to their character that's not what they're there for. You know what I mean? Like, he's not there. And they even addressed that a few times too. They even addressed, Natalie was trying to find him a date. Like, almost the entire movie, almost every interaction they had, she was trying to find him a date. And he was like, I'm just here to do a job. I'm just here to do a job. He has his compass and he knows where it's at. And he also has a compass, kind of, right? With the picture of Peggy. I thought it boring, but you thought Falcon and Winter, you thought the Winter Soldier was boring? My goodness, man. Now, I loved it from beginning to end, just straight up, like from the opening sequence when he was on the ship, and he was going around, he was just kicking butt, man, and he was just like taking over. I knew this was going to be a good one, and then I loved it all the way through. No complaints about no complaints about the Winter Soldier whatsoever. Probably the best one they've released up until this point. And as we go on, you'll see that it was probably one of the best movies that they had released until today. You don't even remember Winter Soldier? That's it. We're doing a watch party for Winter Soldier on the Discord channel. You guys are killing me with not... You guys are killing me. No. Like, you guys are absolutely destroying me. I swear to God. Swear to God, dude. All right. We'll do a watch party for this either tomorrow or Monday for July 4th. July 4th would be perfect. During the subathon? No, because the watch party has to happen on Discord, unfortunately. You don't remember Shrek either. Shut up. So it's either July 3rd or July 4th. Y'all are just upsetting me with not remembering my favorite movie in the MCU at this point. So so there you go. Winter Soldier, S tier. Alvi, thank you for the 11 months. Welcome back. Thank you so much. Why does it need to happen over Discord? Because of DMCA. Because if I literally stream on Twitch, I will most likely get shut down. I'm not going to risk it. I know that there are a lot of other streamers who still play DMCA music and DMCA. They like watch whole like television shows. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not risking what I'm doing. No, Nicole, don't apologize. Never apologize for not knowing. That's totally fine. You're totally good. So if you're part of the Discord channel and at some point you want to watch Winter Soldier with the rest of us, keep an eye out on the announcements channel or the notifications channel because that's what we'll be doing. So it'll most likely happen maybe within the next couple of days. We'll see. So there's that. Gosh, man. This turns into a straight up just like we're watching the entire MCU from beginning to end, week to week to week to week to week. Yeah, if it was a Prime thing, oh my god, we would watch it like after this. I don't get why some streamers will push the limits to DMCA, because streamers think that they're invincible because we've kind of been free of the DMCA for quite a while. And so a lot of streamers just act like it still doesn't exist. But yeah. So moving on, Guardians of the Galaxy. So this was kind of a surprise film for me. I don't really think there are a lot of people who knew what the Guardians of the Galaxy were before this movie came out. And, you know, hand up, total transparency here. Neither did I. You have all these different characters. You have the only thing that I knew about this movie was that it starred Batista, what's her name? Zoe something, Chris Pratt, Vin Diesel, and then for those that don't know, Bradley Cooper voices Rocket Raccoon. You probably do because obviously he's like in the credits. Zoe Saldana, that's right. But when I found out Bradley Cooper voiced Rocket Raccoon, I was like, that's crazy. That does not sound like him whatsoever. But then I watched kind of like the behind the scenes and I was like, oh, that does kind of sound like Bradley Cooper. I think Guardians of the Galaxy was like a silent sleeper hit. I think that there were a lot of people who watched it because look, right? So we are what, 2, 4, 6, 8. We are 9 movies into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and we have already been conditioned at this point that 1, there's most likely going to be a post-credits scene, and 2, these movies are not being released for no reason. They're being released for the greater good of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I think a lot of people went into this more often than not because they felt that they needed to. With that in mind, dude, this movie was super duper good. You would think that trying to introduce 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different characters in a span of like an hour 45 would be a nightmare. I mean, look at what happened to Spider-Man 3, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man 3. They introduced Venom, Sandman, and New Goblin. And that movie was a train wreck. You know, that movie was a disaster. But this movie introduced 5 new characters, and it still did what it did. You guys think S tier? I'm tempted to poll the audience and see. Do most of you guys think that Guardians is S tier? I'm willing to forego my own opinion on this as a high A to just pull it right into the S tier. It is very good. It was a game changer. So, okay. So, Salt, just saying that it was a game changer is enough for me to put it in S tier. This movie did something tonally different from all of the other Marvel movies, which was this fun... It was like... It felt like a buddy cop movie, but with 5 people, which is kind of weird. But, like, in addition to that, all of their characters were so different. In regards to how they look at what I'm gathering is memories of, remember when they're escaping the prison and Rocket tricked Star-Lord into getting a leg for no reason, and then they talked about how it like something went over Drax's head and he took it literally, and then Gamora was like, I'm gonna die surrounded by the biggest idiots in the universe, in the galaxy, right? Not universe, galaxy. All of their personalities were so different, but at the end, we still got emotional when Groot surrounded the team with his whole being, said, "We are Groot," and then died. Which goes to show you that like how they developed the team and how they developed each character was perfect, to the point where you can feel that way at the end of it all. Let's put it this way. Like, as an example, I don't care about not a single character from the Star Wars movies that have been released lately, except for Kylo Ren, except for Adam Driver. And that's over 3 movies. I don't care about Rey. I kind of was like, okay, Luke is back. That's okay, sure. Finn was just kind of like, who cares? But in this movie, in 2 hours, they made me feel for a tree. So they have to have done something right. If I can, if I can get that emotionally attached to a walking tree. Yeah, what a bunch of a-holes. Yeah, the fact, and Vin Diesel and Bradley Cooper voicing hilarious characters is S tier as well. And Baby Groot at the end was everything. Also, the soundtrack was fantastic as well. The scene where Star-Lord is going through that temple, and just dancing and stuff, and the callback later is everything about the movie was good. You're right. Okay, this is no longer a chat opinion. This is my opinion now. The more I talk about it, Guardians, S tier, good movie. Right? Exactly, Felipe. If you can feel that way about a tree and a raccoon, it's good. Siobhan, been holding on to this sub message for a few months now. The lurk life is real. Hi everyone. Siobhan, it is a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much for the 1 year of support. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. And it's good to have you here, but no worries. The lurk life is real for a lot of folks at this point. So yeah, don't even worry about it. And happy new sub badge, by the way. Happy 12. All right, let's keep on going. Avengers Age of Ultron. Is this C? Is this a C tier movie? So there were a lot of things with Age of Ultron that were good, right? We got the scene with Hulkbuster versus the Hulk, so that was really cool. We got Vision. This introduced Vision as well. And oh my gosh, dude, this introduced everybody. We got Vision, we got Scarlet Witch, we got Quicksilver, we got Ultron, and then of course we have the big payoff moment, Captain America and Pietro-ish. We got the big payoff. We got the big foreshadow moment of Captain America just slightly moving Thor's hammer. If there is one redeeming quality about Age of Ultron, it is that moment right there. Because I'm just gonna look this up really quick. So Endgame came out. Can you guys believe that Endgame came out almost like 2 years ago? Or was it last year? Endgame release date. Was it 20? Endgame came out in 2019. Get out of town, dude. 2 years ago. Jesus. All right, so 2019, Age of Ultron release date. So almost 5 years, 4 years really. 4-year build up for that one scene. There was a 1 second scene where Captain America just slightly moves Thor's hammer, and we waited 4 years for that payoff. But yeah, it's been 2 years since Endgame came out. The Hulkbuster armor was introduced and was used very just slightly at a later time, not really. But otherwise, what did the only thing, like, I don't know. Hey Peyton, okay, let's get the elephant. Let's address the elephant in the room here really quick. The Black Widow Bruce Banner, the Natasha Bruce Banner love thing. You couldn't Joss Whedon a movie more than Joss Whedon by making Natasha and Bruce go down this weird romantic Does anybody remember the bar scene when Ultron is first introduced and Bruce Banner is kind of laying on the bar trying to get away from the fight, and Natasha pulls him down and he accidentally buries his face right into her chest? Yeah. Was that necessary? Was that was that was that absolutely needed during that fight scene? You know, um, it James. Okay. It was like written by a teenage boy. James Spader did a fantastic job as Ultron. And again, like Ultron is one of those villains as well that had like the nice like one-liners and stuff. His motivation was good. He's a sentient AI robot who realized that to stop to stop humans destroying the world, he had to he wasn't tasked with like he was tasked with saving humanity. And as a sentient AI does, it's kind of cliche, they realize that humanity's biggest threat to humanity is humanity itself. And so his solution is to just destroy the world and start fresh, right? That makes sense. His motivation is fine because he's just a robot. And that's what he's programmed to do. We also get introduced to Wakanda in this scene, which foreshadows Black Panther, of course. They find out that he's getting vibranium, and where does vibranium come from? Wakanda, So there was that. Ulysses S. Claw was introduced to be used at a later time, but not really. But this movie in general, and we got introduced to Wanda. Fair enough. So we did get introduced to the Maximoff twins, Wanda and Pietro, which is totally fine. Pietro, of course, spoilers, but you guys could have probably figured that out by now. Pietro dies. Not sure how I feel about that. I wonder if they thought having him be in the movies would have been too OP. And we'll talk about a character being too OP in 3 movies. We'll talk about Doctor Strange in a little bit. But so like when Wanda ripped out Ultron's heart, she did so with the line, I think something about a line of like hearts, like you took my heart and I'm going to take yours, or do you know what that feels like? And then she rips out his heart and she's like, that's what that feels like. And I feel like that's kind of unnecessary. They had both kind of redeemed themselves already at that point by helping the Avengers stop Ultron. I don't really think that having Wanda deal with that trauma specifically to kill Ultron herself later on, I don't really think like that didn't like. I feel like they were hoping for like everybody like applauds Wanda kind of moment right there. But to me, I was just kind of like, yeah, you stopped him. Cool. That's kind of what you guys were doing. It would have been different if they had all like come to the conclusion that they could redeem Ultron or save Ultron or something like that. And then Wanda did so out of pure anger and hatred. And that would have added to her character a lot. But that wasn't what they were trying to do. They weren't trying to save Ultron. They weren't trying to convert him. He didn't start having like a redemption story near the very end. He literally was just trying to destroy the world, and Wanda just ripped his heart out. And I was like, cool, you did what you were supposed to do. Great. There was nothing special or spectacular about that. And having Quicksilver die in order to drive that home didn't do anything for me. And so, yeah, I don't really, like I said, I don't really understand why they had to do it. The only thing I can think of is that they've realized that they've introduced this really overpowered character. Because look at what Quicksilver does in the X-Men universe. The dude literally like slows down time to like, I don't even know how to describe it. He could run around the world 8 times in 1 second with how fast he goes and how much he slows down time, essentially. It almost seems like Quicksilver in the X-Men movies isn't actually like a speedster. He's more like just like a time traveler, or like he stops time or something. Was it an issue with Fox or something? Maybe. Who knows? That's a good that's an interesting question. Possibly. But I don't know. I didn't feel Quicksilver's death as much as I felt Coulson's. Oh, dude, well, see, Lou, that's kind of that's kind of different because Coulson we had kind of gotten to know over the course of 5 6 movies at that point. Quicksilver in an hour we knew was a bad guy, and then in 10 minutes he was a good guy. So it was hard for us to get that emotional attachment to Quicksilver. We met him and then he died during the movie. So yeah, he was about as important as a bad guy, because bad guys, like, let's take Whiplash, right? Bad guy gets introduced, bad guy gets killed, bad guy's never brought up ever again. That's what they did to Pietro. So overall, Age of Ultron, no, didn't really like it. I think honestly at this point, no movie is going to be on the D tier list except for the Hulk. So Age of Ultron, C. And if we are doing tiers inside the tiers, then it certainly goes over there. You think B, Shy? No, I can't do it. I would much rather watch Iron Man 2 than Age of Ultron. If someone said you can watch one of these 3 movies, which would it be? If my answer isn't just pick any one of them, then it means that something is wrong and it's this one. Here, if someone went, do you want to watch Iron Man 2 or Thor? I'd be like, yeah, just choose any one. It doesn't really matter to me. But if it was this, I would choose one of these 2. So I'm putting it down here. Ant-Man is pretty good. Definitely better than Thor. Definitely better than Iron Man 2. It's not S tier, but I love Paul Rudd. When I found out Paul Rudd was going to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I was like, how is this going to work? Because Paul Rudd in general is just great. And this was a character that I wasn't really, I don't really know. I was like, why on earth are you introducing Ant-Man to a movie like this? And of course they introduced the Quantum Realm, which was a big plot point in this movie with Janet. And then of course how he ends up beating, what is the character's name? The bad guy. It's not Bumblebee. Like Yellow Jacket, I think is the name of the bad guy. The Quantum Realm is how he decided to defeat Yellow Jacket and stuff like that. This to me was about as like a surprise sleeper hit as Guardians, but not as great. I did like all the side characters that Scott knew, as well, like the little ragtag group of thieves and stuff, being completely juxtaposed to like the scientist family of Hank and not Hope. Is her name Hope? It is Hope. But yeah, no, I think it was great. He was kind of like in between 2 worlds, and yeah, it just in general, it was a funny movie. It was a good time, and his interactions with his daughter as well were really good too. So I would say that this is an A movie. It's definitely better than the Avengers, I think. Is it better than Iron Man? I'm gonna say no, but it's definitely better than the Avengers. And it's a fun movie. It's such a fun movie. I enjoyed every second of it. I would totally watch it again, from beginning to end, no problem, and not complain about it at all. So yeah, Lewis was a fun side character. No one thought Ant-Man would be anything. Yeah, right, Leanne, exactly. That's what I thought. I was like, what is this? Why do we need this? And of course, the reason why we needed it is important. Also, what's up, Mr. Jim? So, Ant-Man, A tier, better than the Avengers, not as good as Iron Man, I think. I think Iron Man is the definitive origin story. I don't think they did any other origin story as well as they did Iron Man's. That's just kind of my own personal opinion on it. Next up, Civil War. Oof. Man, is this better than The Winter Soldier? What do you guys think? No? No. Why? I'm curious, because I'm kind of like, I'm kind of thinking no too, because it wasn't really like, this wasn't really a Captain America story. This was like Avengers 2.5, right? Because it had everybody, right? It had everybody. And of course this movie introduced Spider-Man, which was so interesting. I I was wondered if they were going to do that, and I'm kind of surprised that they did. Tom Holland, of course, now killed it as Peter Parker, and we love Tom Holland now. But yeah, it was Avengers 2.5. So it's I don't really consider it a Captain America movie. It did highlight more Captain America than anyone else, obviously, because this was the origin of how the Avengers broke up. They needed to do this before Infinity War, otherwise Infinity War wouldn't have happened. So, but this is one of those movies as well where I cannot say anything bad about it. Generally speaking, in S tier movies, I would say if something is placed in S tier, you generally can't, or you generally either don't or can't find anything wrong with it. And this is just one of those movies where everything about it was perfect. There is one thing that I didn't really care for, which I'm going to jokingly introduce right here on the stream, and it was this thing right here. You guys remember this? You guys remember how every time they needed to go somewhere, they would just put the name of the place that they were at right on the front of the screen in big, huge letters, like, "Hey guys, we need you to know that we are in Queens now." That was that's just a small that's if I am saying anything bad about this movie, it's just that I don't really care for that decision to do that. Brooke, you thought that Civil War was B tier? Are you wait? Okay. I mean, again, teach their own, but what? Everyone was so afraid for Tom Holland, and he's the best of both worlds. Great Spidey, great Peter. Yeah, my opinion on the Peter Parkers is that Tobey Maguire was a great Peter Parker, not a good Spider-Man ish. Okay, hold on. Let me rephrase. Andrew Garfield was a good Spider-Man, not a great Peter Parker. Tobey Maguire was a great Peter Parker, not the best Spider-Man. And then Tom Holland is kind of right in the middle. The reason I say Andrew Garfield wasn't a great Peter Parker was because Peter Parker is supposed to be in high school. He's supposed to be like a nerd. He's supposed to be very unlikable and stuff like that. Yet Andrew Garfield's portrayal of Peter Parker, he could skateboard. He seemed like a cool guy. He had swag to him. You know what I mean? Like he was bullied by Flash, but like that was pretty much it. There was nothing about Peter Parker in the Amazing Spider-Man franchise that made him the unlikable, cringy nerd. So he was a wonderful Spider-Man, though, because of all of his quips and how he acted and stuff. Like, that was totally fine. But he was definitely a better Spider-Man than Peter Parker. His portrayal of Peter didn't make sense to me because that's not what Peter is. Oh, Charms, don't even get me started on the age thing. Oh, you never liked Captain America movies? I mean, I can totally see why a lot of people don't like the Captain America movies. They're very patriotic. His character, let's be honest, his character is very bland. He seems to have no flaws to him, and his moral compass is never swayed. Now, granted, there is one moment that happens in Civil War where his morality takes over, and that is his decision to not tell Tony that he knew that Bucky was the one who killed his parents. That is the only thing that Captain America has done in his entire storyline where he didn't do the righteous thing. So let's be honest, let's be fair, let's extend the olive branch here. Captain America's character is very bland to write. How do you write a character that has no conflict in himself whatsoever? For a lot of people, that's boring. But it was more or less the storylines that he was put into that made them interesting. And of course, it was the writing, the action sequences, all the cinematography as well. It was good. But again, I can totally see why Captain America could be the least exciting out of all of the Avengers, because there's no growth for Captain America. He's literally the same from beginning to end, right? He never changed who he was. But look at the reason people love Tony Stark is because he starts off as this narcissistic billionaire, I only care about myself person who at the end of the day wanted to just live in a log cabin away from society with his family. That's character development. Captain America, he has no character development. So I can totally see why Captain America movies in general can be fairly bland because of the character. But for me, there's something about how they're portrayed that I just love them more than anything else, and I don't know why. Yeah, we lived through Tony. Tony changed the entire time. Literally in every single movie he changes. But Captain America, he stays the same the whole time. I feel like Cap had some conflict and he refused to sign the Accords. Conflict, yes. Internal conflict, no. He knew where his morals stood. He knew that at the end of the day, the government was about the same as Hydra, and that all they're doing is commanding people to do something. And then the moment they don't want them to do that, they say, don't do that. And then they can't do that. So he had conflict, but he did not have any internal conflict. His moral compass was never swayed. He never thought about signing it and then just like, he did think about signing it, but he only thought about signing it to stop the conflict. Right? That was it. But that was a compromise. He wasn't changing. He hated signing it, but he talked to Tony about the possibility of signing it. More so than anything. He went from scrawny shrimp to big buff beefcake. All right, I guess that's important development. He has to be carried by the stories and they don't do it for me. That's fair. That's totally fair. Because at the end of the day, we are just watching a super serum soldier deal with conflict. Right? And the thing is, it was predictable. We know what he's gonna do. If you in any way, shape, or form thought that Captain America was going to sign the Accords, I would wonder if you've been watching the same movies. Wasn't there a scene when he was at the Captain America Museum where he was unsure if he was doing the right thing? I don't know if he was unsure if he was doing the right thing because that was in the Winter Soldier. That wasn't in Civil War. In the Winter Soldier, he was more or less just like revisiting his life and kind of like seeing what people had said, I would say. But there wasn't actually any sort of like, am I doing the right thing here? It just seemed to me more like, because that was at the beginning of the movie as well, I believe. I might be incorrect. If I'm wrong, then I'm totally willing to admit that I was wrong. But I don't think at any point he visited the museum to find himself. That was Civil War. Okay. Otherwise, I don't really think there's anything else. I would argue to say that he definitely dealt with No, it wasn't a moral thing. He knew or had a feeling that Bucky wasn't the person who committed the crime. Now, I will say that I don't know if a Captain America doing I know, right? There are so many, Matt. There are so many. I feel like Captain America at that time definitely maybe should have just brought Bucky in and just been like, hey, I'm going to go find out to see whether or not this is true. Instead, he decided to go on the lam with him and cause this gigantic scene. Oh, also Civil War introduced Black Panther as well. So there's that. But we're kind of going off on a tangent here. We still have quite a few movies to go through. So let's move on to the next one. And if anything, we can talk about the placements later. Doctor Strange is good. Doctor Strange is better than the Avengers. I like it more than Ant-Man. I think. I don't, dude, is there anyone in the world actor-wise currently who looks more like Doctor Strange in the comics than Benedict Cumberbatch? I mean, when they cast him and I saw the posters, I was like, this dude was like born to I feel like a lot of actors, they look like, especially in the MCU, they look like they were pulled straight from the comic books. But everything about his facial structure, the way that they did his hair and stuff like that, he looks like, if you looked at Doctor Strange on the comics, you'd be like, holy crap, which came first, Benedict or the comics? I I really enjoyed Doctor Strange. It introduced another Infinity Stone. Um, his character development in this movie was good as well. He started off as a kind of like Tony Stark. He kind of started off as this self-centered, egotistical, rich surgeon who had a kind of like coming down to earth moment where he lost the use of his hands, tried to find a way to easy button his way out of it before coming across the ancient one and stuff like that. Um, Benedict in basically anything though. If you dude, Sherlock is so good. Um, but yeah, and then at the very end, he decides that it's worth it to sacrifice himself for the like literally all of time if it means saving the world. Which is again, that's coming from where he was to where he went to. Like that's some nice development there. And then I just enjoyed. For me, I enjoyed all the visuals of it as well. I enjoyed all the Inception style fight scenes and stuff like that. Although they were very hard to keep up with at some point, especially when they were running through the city, through the mirror dimension. That was pretty bad. I was like, what the heck is going on here? They're like through every single file they had in development for effects and was just like, boom, here's the fight scene or here's the chase scene. I'm trying to think if there's anything wrong with it that I can think of necessarily. Yes. Yes. Okay. So the reason why this movie isn't placed higher for me, and this is probably the biggest gripe I have with probably the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, I would say. One, when I found out this movie was being released, I was like, I kind of like crossed my arms and was like, how are you guys going to do this? They're literally introducing one of the strongest characters in the entire Marvel universe, and they gave him the ability to control time. And so I was like, all right, you guys just wrote yourself into a corner. Now everything something bad happens, you just have this guy who's just reverses time and then he just stops it. I think anytime you deal with time travel, time stopping, or anything like that, you definitely run into this situation where how do you eventually underpower this character to make it so that you can actually still write a decent story? And at the very end, he uses the time stone to save everybody. So again, in regards to his character development, like I said, he was this egotistical, self-centered surgeon who was willing to sacrifice himself for the greater good, but he did so in a way that was insanely powerful. He was given a stone, or was rather given, he took a stone and nobody took it from him, and he stopped this cosmic being from literally eating the world by using that stone. If you didn't look at that afterwards and go, how on earth are you supposed to write villains at this point? Then I don't know. Because I get it, right? They like threw out like a moral thing. They were like, you're not supposed to mess with time. And that's how Moto ended up becoming like the bad guy in the movie-ish. You know, in the post-credit scene, he starts to... Because Moto in the comics is actually a bad guy. But in this movie, he starts off as a good guy and then ends up turning into a bad guy. Because he knows where he stands in regards to time travel and messing with that kind of stuff. But like, at what point does that end? You know, anytime you use time travel, you have the chance of making the outcome worse. So you can always write a new problem caused by the time travel, of course. But that would always be hindsight. In the moment, if someone dies, you don't know whether or not saving them is actually worse. And of course, they address this in Infinity War as well. But yeah, that was my biggest thing with Doctor Strange. Was I was like, he saved the world by using the time stone. Doesn't that mean that he can just use that at literally every interval at this point to save even a fly if he so chose to? Other than that, I enjoyed his character development. I enjoyed the action scenes. I enjoyed the writing. There was obviously a lot of backlash for the film with the whitewashing that happened with the Ancient One. I would say that was probably the biggest, more or less political thing that happened in the movie that a lot of people disliked. But overall, I would say, for me, just taking the story for what it was, taking the characters for what they were, and what powers that they were given and stuff, and what they were able to utilize, it was a fun adventure. It was a fun story. I enjoyed it, and for me, it's an A tier movie. I would rather watch that than Iron Man 2. Um, oh, Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I feel like Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is it's definitely worse than the first movie. And not worse in like a bad way. It's just not better because the thing with the first Guardians was that it was very different from what we had experienced up until that point. In addition to just the tonal difference, it was also in space. We hadn't really had that. We had Thor, but he was like a god, right? So that not really in space. He was more either on Asgard or on Earth. The story was very predictable. I would agree with that. Yeah, but barely. Not even then. So, what did this movie do? Nothing. I'm thinking. This movie did nothing. I because he was revealed to be half celestial because Ego is a celestial. I believe is the word is the term for what Ego was, and it was revealed that Quill was half human, half celestial, and then at the end of the movie, he had to give up that power by killing his father. So at the end of it, he still because he just remains human. So what could have been an awesome character development for Star-Lord, making him like this kind of half like godlike being, was taken away to kill the bad guy. They killed off, what was his name? Yondu, I think. They killed off Yondu. So this was a redemption-ish story for Yondu. Yondu didn't really need a redemption story. He was a Ravager, so he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew what he wanted to do, and at the end of it all, he definitely did prioritize Quill's safety over the Ravagers, and so it was kind of a redemption thing, but at the end of the day, he still had some loyalty to the Ravagers, but he was given essentially a choice to help out Quill or to align with the Ravagers as well. Had some funny quippy moments. Obviously, we get Baby Groot, who is now like Kid Groot, or Toddler Groot, I would say. He has a bit of a bigger role in that he has all these different little interactions and stuff, like when they're trying to blow up Ego's brain and Groot's trying to figure out which button to press and stuff like that. That's fine. We also get introduced to Mantis. That is a very good point as well, Leanne. But overall, character development wise and in any regard, anything about this movie, now that I'm thinking about it, it's a fun movie. I would say I would rather watch it than the Avengers, not as much as Ant-Man, but in regards to its overall impact, not much. Not much. Ego revealed that there are Celestials, I guess. But otherwise, that's pretty much it. Gamora and Nebula make up. That's true. That's true. Nebula kind of goes off on her own to find Thanos. But otherwise, I would say, oh, the post-credit scene. The post-credit scene hinted at Adam Warlock, who I believe is either the strongest or one of the top 5 strongest characters in the Marvel universe. I know that like Nathaniel Richards is up there as well. I think Nathaniel Richards is stronger than Adam Warlock. I could be wrong though, but it hinted at Adam Warlock. And when did Volume 2 even come out? Let me see. Volume 2 came out 4 years ago. Starbrand, that's right. Starbrand is up there too. So I don't. We haven't had any sort of hints about Adam Warlock being in the Marvel Cinematic Universe whatsoever. So I don't know when they're gonna do something with that. And I'm hoping that by the time they do something with it, it's not too late. I don't know what too late would be, but
yeah, I think there are a lot of people that are going to either forget about it, or a lot of people who didn't even know what the heck was going on when that happened. I think it's safe to say that a lot of people had no idea what was going on. Um, every time they announce a new Marvel universe, like a Marvel movie, I tend to like do research a little bit just to see kind of like who the characters are and kind of who their affiliations are with and stuff like that. So, but overall, Volume 2, I would say is just an A. It's fun, but overall it's not super forgettable, but sometimes I do forget like what it's about. So yeah, better than the Avengers, but not better than Ant-Man. So when it comes to Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I'm starting to my opinion of it is starting to change a bit in regards to I thought it was really really good when it first came out, but the more that I think about the character itself, the more that I'm starting to have problems with it. It is definitely still an A tier movie. I think I'd rather watch this than Doctor Strange because I love Tom Holland in this movie. I love Peter Parker in this movie. We finally have a kid playing a kid. Imagine a world where they cast a kid to play a kid character. Gosh, and yeah, no, I mean, he had some fantastic scenes in there too. I mean, the scene that really sticks out to me, which I think sticks out to a lot of people too, is when near the end when he fights, um, what was when he fights Vulture in the warehouse and he gets stuck under all the rubble and he cries out for help and he's like he's crying and stuff like that. Um, that to me was like that was really really good because it reminded everybody it was like a quick reminder that hey, he's just a kid, you know, and any kid in that situation, they're not thinking about like they're not really necessarily thinking about what they can do to get themselves out of the situation. They're kind of thinking about if anybody can help them because they don't feel like they know what to do in that moment. And you know, up until that point, he had been kind of very independent. He wanted to be independent. He wanted to do his own thing. He tried to stop the ship on his own and stuff like that when it came to the bad guys, but you put him under that much stress and duress and he feels like he doesn't know what to do because at the end of the day he is just a kid. um, that scene was fantastic, and he just had a lot of great scenes in general. This was an interesting way to introduce Spider-Man into the MCU, I would say, and I think they did it as well as they could. But the biggest thing that I don't like about the Spider-Man movies, which they've released so far, is how important Tony Stark is in them. This is not a real opportunity for Spider-Man to be Spider-Man. This is more like imagine if they decided to go the Robin route with the Dark Knight and they made a Robin movie, but 90% of the movie was him going to Batman to figure out how he's supposed to be a superhero. That's what this is. We're seeing Spider-Man grow, but he's doing it under a mentor. Whereas in the Raimi Spider-Man movies, the reason why a lot of people like those movies was because it was someone who was figuring out what it meant. You know, the whole tagline, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. Peter's not able to learn that on his own in these movies. If anything, he's just like they're nailing it into his head. Like, you need to learn this, kid. Where it, like I said in the Raimi movies, he got to learn that from beginning to end. In this one, he has a mentor. So uh it's good, don't get me wrong, but there's not enough emphasis on Spider-Man being Spider-Man. There's too much emphasis on Spider-Man looking to Tony Stark for help and then not wanting it, or wanting Tony Stark's help and he's not there. So while fun, good, and you know the best that they could have done as an introduction, there's not a lot of Spider-Man in Spider-Man. It's more Iron Man and Spider-Man kind of thing. Have you watched the Spectacular Spider-Man? Are you talking the show? Like, is that like the cartoon, or is the? I feel like that's the cartoon. But yeah, the Dark Knight trilogy was so good. Yeah, I mean, not lately. I definitely when I was younger, but certainly not lately. Oh, dude, don't Into the Spider Verse S. Into the Spider Verse was so good. I loved Into the Spider-Verse. That was fantastic. I actually kind of want to rewatch that again. I don't know if a lot of people vibe with the whole watch party for Winter Soldier thing. We might throw up Spider-Verse. If you've never seen Into the Spider-Verse before, oh my gosh, do yourself a favor and watch it. Or if I end up doing a watch party for it, just look out for that one because it is. That movie is so good. I had some doubts about it, admittedly. I think I have my doubts about a lot of these movies because I'm always curious about how they're going to handle certain situations. But yeah, oh my gosh. And also a Spider-Man movie not based around Peter Parker. I think a lot of people were wondering how they would go, and it was good. It was good. So yeah, I think it's a change that was needed as we had so many movies of Spider-Man before. Fair. It was because I do believe that in the Amazing Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, I think a lot of people were waiting to cringe at the with great power comes great responsibility thing because we were all like, we get this. We get to see Uncle Ben die again. Ugh, great. And then I think a lot of people were waiting for that from this movie too. And then for him to only slightly address it during Civil War was, I think, for a lot of people, they were like, that's good enough. So, but still, Iron Man is my definitive origin story. Thor Ragnarok, dude. Thor Ragnarok is... I like Thor Ragnarok better than the first Avenger, Captain America. So, in regards to tonally different movies, similarly to Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor Ragnarok, which was so not only again tonally different from other Marvel movies, but it was tonally different from the Thor movies as well. Like, think about what I said earlier. I said that the Thor movies up until this point were all about they were all about his relationship with Jane primarily, and I hated that. I didn't like that. So now we have a Thor movie. We have an actual movie based around Thor, and the comedy was great. The action was perfect. The music choices were fantastic. We all love Loki. We all love Tom Hiddleston's Loki, and to see him play a bigger part in a movie as kind of like an anti-hero was perfect because he's the god of mischief, right? Like mischief. And to have him just not be a straight up bad guy, but also have moments where he can be a bad guy was great. Yeah, dude, I cannot. I remember the the one scene that solidified this movie for me as being great was, do you guys, for those that have seen the movie, do you guys remember when he was being introduced to the Grand Master for the first time, and he's going through that Willy Wonka style like chair, and at the very end he's like yelling, and then it just like cuts, and he's like yelling in the middle of a room, and then the Grand Master just like sitting there. I was like, I died. Dude, it was so funny. I had to stop it. I had to go back. It was so funny. But yeah, no, this movie itself is just great. Jeff Goldblum got on your nerves. I loved Jeff Goldblum in it. I thought it was so good. The get help with Loki and Thor was fantastic too. But that also set up a nice character development moment for those two, because, you know, like, this is the first time in the movies where they had ever had a chance to really like sit there and talk without the background of conflict. They've always either been confrontational or talking in regards to like something like bad. Like, think about when he was talking to Loki in Thor: The Dark World, when Loki was like in that little prison, and Thor was trying to convince him to help him to get revenge for the death of their mother. That's an interaction, sure, but it really wasn't like them. We never really got a chance to see Thor interacting with Loki in a way that showed that they were like family, or that they had something, you know, further with each other than just conflict. And I think that was good too. It was wonderful script writing all together, and I loved every minute of it. Goldblum's whole shtick is getting on people's nerves. Yeah. I don't know. Jeff Goldblum seems like a character just on his own, you know. But yeah, that real talk chat where Thor was like, Loki, I thought the world of you, but at the end of the day, I'm now realizing that you're you and I'm me, and, you know, at the end of the day, that's just the way that it's going to be, and I'm totally okay with that. I'm done trying to save you. I'm done trying to redeem you. I'm done trying to make this work if you don't want it to work. And it really made Loki take a step back and go, do I not want this to work? Or is what I'm doing wrong, you know, and I think that was important. Yeah, it showed there was something under the mischief. Exactly. Get help is often quoted in your house. But no, yeah, this was great, and I think the best character was introduced. Korg. Oh my God, Korg. Um, I just Korg's whole first interaction with Thor was great. He had a lot of funny lines in it, talking about how uh I'm a gigantic thing of rocks, but don't worry, you don't have to do anything to fear unless you're made of scissors, referencing rock paper scissors. The thing that killed me that he said the most was, I tried to start a revolution, but I didn't print enough pamphlets, so not a lot of people showed up, except for my mom's boyfriend, who I hate. I was like, oh my God. It was so good. And then I think the accent also helps it too. So yeah, no, I love Korg, and I love every interaction that they had with Korg. It was so good. Yeah, it's the additional information. I tried to start a revolution. Cool. And then he said, but I didn't print enough pamphlets. I was like, oh my God, this freaking guy. um but yeah, no, so definitely loved Ragnarok. It was good. Black Panther, obviously, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. 43 years old, man, 43. And nobody even knew. He was filming these movies while sick. That's insane. And the fact that nobody knew, because all he wanted to do was just like entertain and be Black Panther, and he just wanted to be like, that's insane. Um it's certainly, I do like the movie. I'm not gonna say it's an S tier movie for me. There are a lot of cool moments with it. Um, I do believe I like it better than Spider-Man though. Again, the biggest gripe that I have with Spider-Man is the fact that it's not really a Spider-Man movie. It's just I'm Iron Man's sidekick movie. Martin, thank you so much for the 9 months, dude. Oh hi, good to have you, man. Thanks for being here, much appreciated. Thanks for the 9. But Chadwick Boseman, the character itself, T'Challa is great. I loved. Sounds good, Phoenix. We'll see you later. I loved all of the cultural integrations that Wakanda had as well. And just everything about the Black Panther was awesome to watch it. And again, it was different, but it made sense as well. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, exactly, Emerald. Sorry, and it was a gorgeous movie to just watch in general. I'm trying to think. I I didn't really care for the last fight with Killmonger. Um, I don't know. It was okay. It was just fine. Um, Michael B. Jordan did a very good job. I like how we got a little bit of like Killmonger's backstory in it, to kind of, because of course if you just have a villain who's just there to be a villain, there's really no story there. The villain has to have some sort of motivation, and if it's not understood quickly, then people very quickly lose interest in why they should care whether or not a villain dies, because then at the end of the day you're just watching a hero be a hero, and that's not really fun. So yeah, no, Michael B. Jordan did a very good job. I don't know if Killmonger is portrayed like that in the comic books, but either way, I would say that in this realm, it made sense. You go from this kid who is struggling, who has a backstory of being a part of this gigantic kind of culture of technological advancement and stuff like that. And I don't know. But yeah, like in Thor 2, exactly. The Dark Elf, I can't remember his name. Was he just the Dark Elf? Didn't really care for it, because who cares, right? Because the motivation was just, I'm a bad guy. At least Killmonger, T'Chaka, I think was his Wakandan name. He had decent motivation to do what he was doing. Malekith, ugh, yeah, even the name. The Dora Milaje, oh, they were great too, and their use later on in the MCU is still good. And the soundtrack for the Black Panther was really good too. Yeah, no, I mean it was good. It wasn't that great. I still like Iron Man as an origin story better than Black Panther. So yeah, good. Hey Brooke, how are you? All right, Infinity War. I mean S. Better than Guardians. Better than the first Avenger. Better than Ragnarok. You know what's funny too is if you look at the poster for Ragnarok and Avengers Infinity War, they kind of like look exactly the same. They both have Tony and Thor kind of like doing this arms to the side pose, which is kind of funny since Infinity War came out right after Ragnarok. I always thought that was kind of weird visually. I was like, why was that necessary to do? But I guess so. But is it better than Ragnarok? That is the question. And I think the answer for me is, so I'm trying. The thing is that Infinity War's goal was again to just be a culmination, right? Like all Avengers movies are. It's supposed to just be a culmination of things. This is every storyline that we had seen up until this point. Finally coming together into this one big bad plot surrounding Thanos. Thanos had been hinted at and foreshadowed many movies before. Everything was done for the sole purpose of serving Thanos' story and his motivation of course, resetting the universe by basically cutting it in half, because he was a part of a race and was a part of a planet that experienced what it meant to have an overabundance of people and not an abundance of stuff. So a lot of people don't realize this, but Infinity War is actually Thanos' origin story. We've kind of talked about this in the past, and we just touched on it briefly. This wasn't a story about the Avengers. This story was about Thanos and his journey from beginning to end. That's all that it was. The Avengers were more there to be the foil to him, similarly to how every villain would be the foil to the hero in all of our other movies. Thanos in this movie was the hero, and the Avengers were the villains. But the only reason that Thanos was the villain was because we were couched in the context of everybody that we had met up until that point is a superhero. And so even though Thanos' motivation was good and could have conversely been solved by just creating more things, his rationale was, we have one cheeseburger and two people, so we're just going to get rid of one person. My question would have been, why don't you just make two cheeseburgers? I don't really know. It's very obvious that the Infinity Stones can do whatever they want to. They can bring people back. They can create things. They can destroy things. That would have been my first question. I'd have been like, if your goal is to just cut the world in half, why not just double the things that we need? Be all powerful in that way, and at least be someone that, like, because then you would be viewed as a god either way. But you don't look like a vengeful god more so than anything. Yeah, Emerald. Loki's death as well in the beginning. I mean, like this movie in general is just like, it starts off so strong. Loki dying within the first 10 minutes. I don't think anybody expected that. I think when you do something like that, like, get ready, because the movie was also 2 hours long. The fact that they killed off a character who had been such an important part of the Marvel universe up until that point within 10 minutes, I was like, oh my God, this is it. Like, here we go. Like, the thing with Infinity War was you don't really get a chance to breathe, which is kind of nice. But literally there's something of importance happening every 5 minutes. But at the end of the day, really, it's super fun because, like I said, it's a culmination of everything that we had experienced up until that point. You get to see all the characters, you get to see the results of everything. So, for example, Tony not calling Steve, Bruce not knowing what was going on because he's been stuck on Sakaar, I think, is the name of the planet for so long. He was stuck there for what, 3 years as the Hulk or something like that. Um, and then of course, Steve and gang also being off doing their own thing because they're at that point basically crooks and criminals, according to the Sokovia Accords. So again, this was more or less a Thanos origin story. This was a coming together of everything that had been leading up to Thanos being introduced into the series. And yeah, Infinity War, good. Nothing hurt more than when he snapped his fingers and people started to disappear. I think there were a lot of disappearances that were very surprising. Black Panther, of course, everybody. Spider-Man. Oh my gosh, I actually teared up in the theaters when Spider-Man was dusted away. Oh my gosh, dude. Hey Trin. Yeah, no worries. Oh my god. Yeah, the people that they decided to snap away, but it kind of made sense, right? They kept the main group, which made sense, and they kept some of the new group for the sake of what they needed to be done. But the problem with the emotional weight of a movie like this is the internet. What I mean is, we all knew that Tom Holland was coming back. We all knew that Chadwick Boseman was, oh, geez. We all knew that Black Panther was coming back. We all knew that Spider-Man was coming back. We all knew that there was going to be a Guardians 2. You know what I mean? So it was very difficult for us to be invested in the idea that Peter Parker was snapped away because we knew that he had signed on for 2 more movies. And there were a lot of folks who thought that maybe the movies that he signed up for aren't necessarily as a result of Infinity War. Maybe he's stuck in like the quantum realm or something. Maybe that's where people go that get snapped away. Maybe he's stuck in the time stone. I know a lot of people had the mind stone theory in there. Like a lot was being thrown out in the beginning. Like a lot of people were like, maybe when you get snapped away, you just get put into the mind stone, and maybe that's where we'll get Black Widow again, and what have you. But it's very hard to be emotionally invested in the movie in its ending because of what we knew. So yeah, and maybe flashbacks, exactly. But regardless, Infinity War, Soulstone, not Mind Stone, Soulstone, exactly. So regardless of all that stuff, Infinity War, I loved it. I had a fun time watching it. I cheered, I cried, I laughed. It was a fun time, and again, there's a lot of emotional weight that comes from it. Ant-Man and the Wasp. We haven't put a movie in B in a long time. I'm gonna put Ant-Man and the Wasp in B. I don't ever feel like watching that movie ever again, but I would certainly choose it over anything in the C tier. I think. Pretty sure. Yeah, and Rihanna, exactly. When Infinity War ended just like that, like boop, Thanos is smiling, he did what he did, and that was it. I think a lot of people, my theater screamed when the credits started rolling at the end of Infinity War. People were like, "What? You can't just end a movie like that?" And it's like, oh, they just did. Oh, and then of course the post-credit scene for Captain Marvel, which gets introduced shortly. So yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp, man. I mean, did anybody who watched Ant-Man and the Wasp actually have like a moment where they were like, I like this movie? Because I didn't. I don't know. I just, he was dealing with the repercussions of helping Captain America during Civil War, but even then, that was kind of like thrown under the wayside. He was put under probation. So Captain America is seen as an absolute vigilante, but you're under probation for what? I made me appreciate the first one more. That's fair. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't. So the only thing that this introduced was Giant Man. It set up the quantum realm. That is very true. Yep, you're right. No, it set up the quantum realm and it set up Giant Man. But plot wise, it did nothing. It's exactly, Martin, and that's what I said for Guardians 2. It's a movie you watch. No, that's what I said for why people watched the first Guardians. There are a lot of people who didn't really know about Guardians, but they watched it out of obligation because at that point 9 movies had been released. So This movie felt like obligation, and the only important part about it was the last 2 minutes, as well as the fact that we knew that he could become Giant Man, but even then, that didn't really have any sort of major impact until like the end of Endgame. So, yeah. Hi Amy, good to see you. So Ant-Man and the Wasp, again, I don't like it better than any of. Well, okay, I like it better than Iron Man 2, I think. So I'll put it in B, but I would certainly watch anything else above it first, and I would watch anything after it last. So he was under probation because he made deals to go back to the USA. Fair enough, but still, like, it seems like it was just like, we're just gonna sweep this under the rug. Same as Hawkeye, right? Which is coming out later on this year. Sometimes I forget that the Hawkeye Disney Plus series is coming out later on too. So yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp, fine. It's fine. It's fine. Captain Marvel. I'm just like, it's it it's better than Ant-Man and the Wasp. The question is it as good as the first Avengers movie? I don't think so. I think what did Captain Marvel do? Captain Marvel, we were introduced to Nick way before Shield was a thing. She helped in Infinity in Endgame by destroying the giant ship and saved Tony, who then created the time travel. Okay, so she was, I mean, she was important, but the movie itself was very meh. I didn't really care for it. I don't think it's better than Avengers. I do think I'd rather watch it over Ant-Man and the Wasp. So I think I'm just gonna safely put it in the B tier. Yeah, no, Shy, I agree too. I agree with that one. I do like how it was set out of time, you know, obviously, because we get to see. I thought when they made this movie that it was going to be set like in current time, but I guess that wouldn't really make a lot of sense. But yeah, no, it does. Yeah, yeah, B tier. I don't really have anything to say about it. I don't. It's fine. If it was released earlier and more important, yes, I agree with that. I mean, it's not bad. It's certainly not a C tier movie, but I don't want to watch Captain Marvel. You know, I don't want to watch it. If it's on, I would even say that if it's on, I would even be like, I'll let me see if anything else is on first before committing to this. Yeah, no, exactly. The origin story for Captain Marvel is just not as impactful. If anything, the origin story for Nick Fury in this movie was more impactful than Captain Marvel's origin story, I feel. Because Nick obviously set up this whole thing with Shield and with Tony, and then of course that led to everything else. And so, yeah, I would say that that's how I feel about it. The origin story for Nick in this movie was way better than Captain Marvel's. How Nick lost his eye was more important to me than anything Captain Marvel had to go through. But I do think it's funny that we finally find out how he lost that eye, and it was by a was it a flurgan? I think is what they're called. It's not a cat. It was an alien disguised as a cat, but a flurkin, not a flurgan, I think. So, yeah. Movie was rushed to release before Endgame came out. Made her character feel like a cop out. True. I agree with that. That sounds about right to me too. Yep. So yeah, Captain Marvel, B. Endgame. This is a complete bias. I would watch Endgame. I wish this is the only movie of the Marvel movies so far where if someone gave me like a wish to rewatch a movie for the first time all over again, it would be this one. Now I've made this comment multiple times before about the culmination of things in regards to the Avengers movies and stuff like that. But I mean, just how Endgame kind of like tied everything together, tied up loose ends, and just all of the things like finally coming to a close after 10 years. And then we finally get, oh my gosh, the payoffs, man, the fan service in this movie, the callback to the elevator fight, Cap finally lifting the hammer because the Russos have even come out and said, yeah, he knew that he could lift it. He knew when he tried to lift it in Age of Ultron that he could lift it. And someone had brought up a good point too. If you don't think that he knew he could lift it, think about the position that Thor was in. Thor was literally about to die. If Cap didn't know that he could lift that hammer, why would he even take 5 seconds to try and lift the hammer to see if it would work? You don't. You either know that you can't or you know that you can and you use it. So he definitely knew that he could do it the entire time. And in this instance, he was like, I have to do this. So I mean, look, like I said before, I don't cheer in movies. I don't clap. I don't talk. When that scene happened, I was screaming because the rest of the theater was. I was clapping. It was such a fun ride. Oh, and then, Tony, oh my God, dude. So emotional. I could probably talk about Endgame for the next 5 hours, but that's only because again, it's 10 years of movies coming together in a 2 to 3 hour time span. But oh my gosh, I just can't. Yeah, right, Shy. I saw it 3 times in theaters. I think it was there 2 or 3 times in its entirety. But yeah, they told Tom Holland they were filming a wedding because they were afraid that he was gonna spoil it because he'd already kind of spoiled stuff. But no, dude, I cannot think of a single bad thing to say about Endgame. And again, this is probably a bias because I've been following these movies since Iron Man. I've been so emotionally and mentally invested in them for so long. Martin. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so no, I literally can't say anything bad about the movie that I can think of whatsoever. It was fantastic. It was emotional. It was fun. Yeah. Even the handshake between Tony and Cap and him getting the shield back after, think about that. If you haven't thought about it, that was the first time Captain America was Captain America in over 5 years since giving up the shield because Civil War happened and then Thanos snapped and 5 years had passed. So he had not actually been Captain America with his shield at that point for 5 years. And so to see them finally meet up again after so long and to have him give his shield back and stuff like that, it was so good. Yeah, I can't think of anything else. It's just the emotional attachment, all of it, the way that they tied it together was great. Obviously, they left a lot of things up in the air, and how the heck Cap was able to come back with a fixed shield and stuff that I'm hoping that they address at some point in the future, because again, this is time travel. Oh gosh, the time travel. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, not quite sure. But yeah, I could, like I said, I could go on and on and on and on and on about Endgame, but I won't. Oh, that sucks, Allie. I'm sorry. She was throwing up because it was too much. The lineup, we actually didn't have a line. We're lucky that we live kind of in an area where it's not as heavily populated. So our theater was full, but more people actually ended up getting there shortly before the movie started rather than like an hour or two before the movie started. Oh, anxiety. Oh, wow. Gotcha. All right. Far From Home. Okay. Let's start. It's not C. So we'll start here. Is it better than Thor? Yes. Is it better than Iron Man 2? Yes. Is it better than Captain Marvel? Yes. Is it as good as Avengers? Yes. I would say. Is it better than the Avengers? Would I watch Far From Home over the Avengers? Yes. 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 I I would actually watch it over the first Spider-Man too. I would actually watch it over Homecoming. Um and I think I would watch it over Black Panther as well. It's just for me it's a more fun movie. I think that's where it stops. I think Far From Home, I think that's where it stops. Um yeah. Um I'm trying to think of how I feel about it. I would watch Tom Holland do his taxes. uh Homecoming was better though. You think so? I'm trying to think of what gripes I had with this movie. So this is the movie that addressed the blip, and it's the first time that we had ever actually called it something. Nobody in the Marvel universe had called it anything except for the snap. This it's at this point where they actually just went ahead and called it the blip. So, and to be honest with you, I don't care for the name. I don't really like the blip. I get that they kind of disguised it as being like, um, hey, it's a bunch of kids during their morning announcements. They're calling it the blip, but it also maybe even kind of seemed like that wasn't the case. Maybe that's just what it was called. So the blip. Um, I did like Jake Gyllenhaal in this. I was very, very skeptical about not necessarily Jake Gyllenhaal, but about Mysterio. It seemed very out of left field. Now that's kind of weird because we have Doctor Strange, but I don't know. I don't. I love the fact that they did Mysterio though, and I love that they introduced him with the fishbowl head. I thought that was great. I don't. The thing with these movies is they have to make them for everybody, right? So they have to make them for those that aren't interested in the comics and who are interested in the comics. So they get everybody riled up by talking about like he's from another dimension, and then Spider-Man even says the magic word. You're going to tell me that there's a multiverse? And everybody was like, finally, here we go. And then Jake Gyllenhaal is like, psych, I'm wearing a mocap suit. I'm actually from Earth and I hate Tony Stark. And I was just like, and okay, and again, this is another movie where Tony Stark created the bad guy. All right, let's go through this movies really quick and double check and see who he made as the bad guy. He made Obadiah Stane the bad guy. He made Jake Gyllenhaal the bad guy. The villain in the first Spider-Man was the bad guy. Hank Pym despised Iron Man. He wasn't really a bad guy for it, but he didn't really like the Starks. You know, like God, I swear, man. Like, can Tony just stop doing that? But still, so yeah, I liked Mysterio. I liked the whole. I guess I liked the drone thing. I don't really know. I do like how they brought back what's his face, who worked for. Oh, that's right, he worked for Iron Man too. The guy who was like, Tony Stark built this in a box of scraps. I can't remember his real name, and he was like, "I'm sorry, sir, I'm not Tony Stark." They brought that guy back to help with to help get the glasses and stuff like that. But I don't know. It was good. I think I do enjoy it better than Homecoming though. I think it's just because of the fact that it for me was just more fun. And if I'm being honest, there was less Iron Man. Again, my biggest gripe with Spider-Man Homecoming was that it felt more like Spider-Man and Iron Man, not Spider-Man. This felt like Spider-Man actually coming into his own and learning what it takes to be like a hero. Spider-Man versus the I Hate Tony Stark Club. That's exactly what it is too. So I think that's the reason why I like it more. I think if I'm going to not really like these, if I'm going to like the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans because they were more Spider-Man, then I think the reason I like this more is because it is more Spider-Man and not a lot of Tony Stark. It's more him coming into his own. So I think that's the reason why I like this one more. And of course the post-credit scene. I'm very, very curious to see what they're going to do with Beck revealing Peter Parker as Spider-Man and what that's going to entail. And of course, J. Jonah Jameson coming back, played by J.K. Simmons, was, oh my god, dude, fantastic. When that happened, I legitimately was like, because it was also the first another time when someone from another universe, like another cinematic universe, had come over. I think that was the first time. That might have been the first time. But yeah, J.K. Simmons reprising his role as J. Jonah Jameson, but instead of being a news reporter, was running a conspiracy theorist website in this universe. I thought that was great. And yeah, Zendaya was good in it too. I agree. Yeah, but no, I mean, like, yeah. So I liked Mysterio, and I liked the post credit scene, and I did like Spider-Man's overall growth on his own, which is why I like it better than the first Spider-Man. All right, so now we get to the television shows. The only ones that are on this tier list are the ones that have finished. So WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I said this was going to be a short stream, and we've almost hit the 3-hour mark in 45 minutes. So that was a good idea. So WandaVision is, it's so good. Better than Guardians. Better than the first Avenger. Better than... Ooh. Is it better than Ragnarok? I'm on the fence. I was super unsure about WandaVision when it first came out. After the first episode. So again, the Disney Plus shows were the first time I had ever been invested in a show, and I had to wait literally from week to week to watch a show. After episode 1, I was like, what the heck is this? What is this? Like, what are we watching here? Of course, the big thing that happened at the end of episode 1, I believe, was when they had that dinner party. And the mom from that 70s show, because I can never remember her name, and that's the only time I know her. The mom from that 70s show was telling Wanda to, like, stop it, and it was looking like she was saying it in a trance. And that was the only real interesting thing that happened at the end of that show. Now, the show itself was interesting because the premise of it is on the get-go interesting. You're like, why is she here? Why is she like in an old-timey like television show with Vision? Vision is dead. What's going on here? So the premise of the show is enough to keep you in, but admittedly, yes, after the first episode, I was like, what the heck is this? And then it kept going, and oh my god, did it get so good. Going through all the different timelines, you had the Malcolm in the Middle-esque intro. You had like the Modern Family style episode as well. Like, they did a very good job of taking popular television sitcom styles over the last like 50 years and incorporating it into each individual episode until the last 2, which was awesome. I thought that was great. But yeah, no, props to the writing, props to the idea. I always wonder what spurred on this particular idea. Like, who sat there in the drawing room and was like, what if we just put her in like a I Love Lucy style show? And everyone was like, love it. Do it. That's a perfect idea. Like, what? So, but yeah, no, WandaVision, I loved. Elizabeth Olsen, wonderful job. We get to see more of Vision, and it's great too. And then, of course, we have the now iconic Agatha All Along song. I think that's going to go down in history forever as a blank all along kind of meme. No matter where you are, what you do, you can always say it was blank all along and do it in the tone of Agatha All Along and stuff like that. You didn't like Agatha? May I ask why? Did I see that Disney Plus put Loki before WandaVision on the official MCU timeline? I did not see that. And right now I can't imagine why. Loki is currently kind of all over time. So that's interesting. I had a friend who watched the first episode and was like, and I had to force him to watch it. Yeah, exactly. The first episode, I mean, it's like the first 30 seconds of a YouTube video, right? if you're not hooked immediately, you're not really going to watch an entire 20 minutes of it. So if you watch an entire 45-minute long episode of WandaVision and you're not really hooked, it's hard to want to be like, I'm going to come back next week. Should you watch WandaVision in its entirety? Yeah, I would say generally for these shows, like, if you can help yourself, wait until they're all released and then binge watch them. I cannot stand waiting week to week. Didn't care about her backstory, and I would rather have Wanda be the sole villain. That's fair. That's fair. And I think it would have set up an interesting kind of timeline, or rather interesting series of events where Wanda just stayed as the bad guy. Right now, she's kind of like an anti-hero, it feels like. She's working purely based off of like emotion and stuff like that. Which she's kind of been doing since the very beginning. But yeah, no, I think it would have been a much cooler character development if she had just been kind of like the villain, and maybe Agnes was supposed to be the savior, and Wanda, it just like doesn't care anymore, Yeah, right, Orfina? Yeah, a lot of people forget that Vision died, and I think a lot of people forget that Vision died because he wasn't brought back in Endgame, when I think a lot of people thought that he would have been, because like everyone else was brought back except for Vision. He obviously wasn't in the movie, so he wasn't even included in like that nice little credit scene where they were like showing like clips of each character. So yeah. But I loved WandaVision. I was pleasantly surprised by WandaVision, and certainly would recommend it to anybody. The first episode is a bit rough in regards to trying to grasp what's going on, as well as to get your interest in it. But otherwise, very good. It gets better as it goes on. Lastly, we have Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now, when the Falcon and the Winter Soldier started, I was like, how are you guys going to beat WandaVision? Not only that, but a lot of the movies that are in, a lot of the MCU franchises and things that are in the S tier list, they either had some sort of major impact or did something different, i.e. WandaVision, Ragnarok, or they were emotionally impactful like Endgame, Civil War, Winter Soldier, or they were just good movies in general. So when the Falcon and the Winter Soldier kind of returned to form by being just a superhero movie, I was like, there's no way this is going to be better than WandaVision. It's better than WandaVision. I was so kind of concerned, not concerned, that's the wrong word. I didn't really know what they were going to do with these two characters, Bucky and the Falcon. I was like, if anything, these guys are like the sidekicks of Captain America. How are you going to make a show based on his sidekicks? That didn't really like, I didn't really know how that was going to work. You have a man at a time, and you have a man. Oh gosh, this is. I was gonna be like super, not super philosophical with what I was going to say, but it's the best way to describe it. You have a man at a time, and a man out of place. And what I mean by out of place is it's set in a world where the biggest thing that the Falcon and the Winter Soldier addressed was the idea of a black Captain America. And of course, he did deliver a Captain America style speech at the very end, talking about the fact that, it wasn't so much the fact that he was a different Captain America. It was the fact that he was a different race of Captain America. And you got to see instances of that throughout the show, such as when they were stopped in the street by cops, and they were stopped for literally no reason, and they were getting ready to arrest Sam for nothing because they wanted to see his ID and he wouldn't give it. It was only after they found out that he was the Falcon that they were like, oh, well, then we need to bring in Bucky because he didn't go to his therapist appointment. So you're going to arrest someone for not going to their government assigned therapy, but you're going to arrest Sam because he was walking, and you have no right to ask him for his ID because he did nothing wrong. So yeah. That they dealt with that a lot during the show. And then of course we had John, played by Wyatt Russell, who, man, you want to talk about someone who played a villain so good that you hated him. him taking over the reins as Captain America, the government assigned Captain America, and then him going on this crazy power trip by taking the serum, and that fight with Sam and Bucky in the warehouse, you know, the I am Captain America thing. Oh my God, dude. I was like, get this guy out of here. But he is so good in the role. That scene with John and the shield, though, iconic. Because again, like, look at everything that was released up until this point. What is this? 3, 6, 6, 12, 18, 21, 24, like 27 things here. We have an idea of what the shield represents, and it's covered in blood because of vengeance and someone's willingness to do whatever it took to avenge someone that they loved. I mean, what was that, episode like 3 or 4? I can't remember, but oh my God, dude. Wyatt Russell did such a good job. And I watched interviews of Wyatt Russell after the fact, and he's like, it's always the good, like, he's such a great guy. Like, I've watched interviews. He's so cool. He seems so nice. And of course, when you have someone like that play that kind of character, I feel like you're in for a good time. I feel like you cannot go wrong. So yeah, no, I think that it's definitely better than WandaVision. In addition to that, I felt like it had a bigger impact on the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole. Wanda, now here's the thing. All right, Chell, sounds good. Here's the thing. Wanda may or may not have a bigger impact as well, depending on what happens in the Multiverse of Madness or something like that. Depending on what happens, there are a lot of people who are thinking, is this going to introduce the House of M? Which is where in the comics, Wanda basically, she basically like Thanos snapped all but like 5% of mutants. So a lot of people are wondering if the Multiverse of Madness is going to introduce the House of M storyline, which would, again, if that is the case, then then it does stand to, it would stand that WandaVision actually had more of an impact than Falcon and Winter Soldier. But right now, Falcon and Winter Soldier reintroduced what's her name? Agent 13, Carter, not Peggy. I can't remember. Sharon, right? Sharon Carter. Yeah. So Sharon Carter being revealed as the power broker, I think is what it was. That's an interesting one. You know, the super soldier serum and stuff like that. And Zemo. Oh my gosh, dude. I was like, Zemo was okay. If I'm being honest, I think Zemo was my favorite character in the whole show. Sam was good. Bucky was good. You know, John being the U.S. agent was also good. Zemo was chef's kiss. I did not know how they I was like, why Zemo? Why Zemo? This one-off character from an old Captain America movie. Why so? And he was fantastic in it. I just cannot say, I don't really know what to say about it. I can't think of anything else to say. Zemo's inclusion in the show was good. And now, of course, we get into this zone where he has been taken to the Raft, which is being run by Thunderbolt Ross, who in the comics created the Thunderbolts, which is consisting of anti-heroes such as Zemo, and I think Agent Venom is even part of it too, which could potentially be introduced in the next Spider-Man movie. So, you know, it's like you have all these villains going to the Raft being run by Thunderbolt Ross, who runs this vigilante group of anti-heroes. So we'll see. But I think that's what that setup was. You know, to hand him off to the Dora Milaje, who are just going to take him to the Raft, I think they're definitely setting up for a Thunderbolts kind of situation. I don't know if they've actually announced that. I don't think that's actually a property yet for the MCU. But if it does, I'm not going to be surprised. I think the end scene of WandaVision was Wanda finding a universe for their kids, and that's why you could hear them yelling. Yeah, I know that a lot of people. I think that's the big theory going on with WandaVision was she heard her kids and she's getting ready to go like save them, because it was the one thing in her life that she had like really really gotten an attachment to other than Vision. Um, so yeah. Otherwise, I think we're done. Do we have any like not we? I mean, yeah, yeah, but do I have any sort of not issue, but do I want to change anything of what I have put on here so far? I don't think so. I think. Oh, you know what? There was one thing I'd change. Uh, Age of Ultron is better than Thor: The Dark World. That is what I would that is what I would change if I had to. Like I'm being held at gunpoint or something. I could even make a case to say that Thor: The Dark World is better than Hulk in the D tier. But Thor: The Dark World does have some cool action sequences, particularly near the end. And of course, you have like Loki's little, not necessarily redemption arc, but it does set up Loki acting like he was king, like, you know, Odin the entire time as well. And, you know, I guess the teleportation scenes were kind of cool too, but I could totally make a case for it being in the D tier still, but I'm going to leave it in the C tier. But I think this is pretty much it. Where would I put Loki so far? All right, so imagine the Hulk movie is Loki. I would put it here. I would put it above Falcon and Winter Soldier. I think that as the Disney Plus shows continue to be released, they just keep getting better and better and better and better. Loki right now is just so good. I mean, I knew it was going to be good because I like Tom Hiddleston. I like Loki, the character in general, and how they've written him and the portrayal of his character and stuff like that. Loki is definitely the best Disney Plus show that is on right now, and the fact that we have 2 more episodes before the end of the series speaks wonders to kind of how good it is, in my opinion. So yeah, Loki is a definite S tier for me, and it's definitely better than the other two shows right now. 6 episodes is too short, but think about it, Lou. We have been these episodes, if you put them all together, WandaVision was like an 8 to 9 hour movie. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was like a 6-hour movie, and Loki is like a 6-hour movie. We are getting more character development in these shows than almost we ever had for any other character. So unless a character had 3 movies like Captain America or Iron Man or even Thor, you don't really actually get to experience it as much as you do in the shows. And right, I just want more. I'm being greedy. Absolutely. If they announced like a season 2 of Loki, I think we would all be down for it. But again, everything is being done to service the overarching Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is why even Elizabeth Olsen has come out to basically denounce rumors of a potential for a WandaVision season 2. Wanda's character in general has basically been written in regards to who she is. And I think at this point, everything now is going to be reactionary. And so having a WandaVision season 2, while that would be nice because we liked WandaVision, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. And in all honesty, it probably wouldn't make a lot of sense. It's in pre-production. Oh, Hawkeye or WandaVision 2. I thought she said that it wasn't coming out. I'm pretty sure they're not coming out. Hawkeye though, when does Hawkeye come out? Doesn't Hawkeye come out like November? There should be a Iron Man series for his best moments. I'm pretty sure that there's like wait, are you talking about like a here's all the heroic things that Iron Man did in his time kind of thing? I agree with your Winter Soldier choice so much. I'm surprised to see someone else rank it that high. Oh, dude, Winter Soldier is definitely one of my favorite MCU movies. If you take Endgame out of it, it is the best MCU movie for me personally. So yeah. I haven't watched many MCU movies just like the main ones, but should you watch them in order? if you're talking about watching them in order of release, I would say yes. If you're talking about watching them chronologically in regards to where they happen on an actual timeline, I would say no. I feel like the emotional impact from movie to movie is benefited greatly from things like post-credit scenes and the information that you do know. It makes things like reveals come out later on to be less beneficial if you've already seen the movie. So, for example, Captain Marvel's first major addition to the series was at the end of Infinity War, when Nick drops the pager and it reveals that that's for Captain Marvel. Because Captain Marvel happened in what, the 50s? If you watch Captain Marvel first and then you watch Infinity War and then you see that scene, it's not really as impactful. Now, granted, this is kind of like pointless now because you kind of like know the 90s. I thought it was the 50s. You kind of like know already now, especially if you've been watching this stream for like pretty much since the beginning. But yeah, I would say that if you didn't know anything about these movies beforehand, watching them in chronological timeline order, you wouldn't get the impact that you would if you had watched them in regards to the order that they were released. The order that they were released is very important because they obviously had to write things certain ways in order to service the next movie. Because again, everything is done in service of the overall cinematic universe. So the way that Captain Marvel was written specifically because of how all the other movies previously were written and then shot. So yeah, that's why it would be important to not watch it in order of time frame. So yeah, this is the first time I've ever looked at all the Marvel movies in like a group setting like this and then figuring out which ones were actually good and which ones were bad. If I can say one thing about them all, though, it's that, man, their posters are this just looks like a collage of nothingness. I don't really care for the movie posters at the end of the day, really. The only one that seems significantly different is Captain America's poster with just like, you don't even get to see him. It's just more of like a somewhat shot of his shield. But after that, every poster, they were just like main character, side characters, and that was pretty much like, it gets boring pretty quick to see movie posters like that. I think someone even did like I think I saw on Reddit, someone showed like, because blue and orange are nice colors to look at and they're contrasting or they're complementary, a lot of like movie posters have gone the blue and orange route. So yeah. Oof. Oh, but otherwise that was fun. Yeah, I didn't really feel like playing anything on the stream today because we had just got done with Detroit. In addition, I didn't want to start anything brand new because I'm going to be off for the next 2 days for Sunday, and then of course July 4th. A lot of people have off. If I randomly decide to stream for July 4th weekend, July 4th morning, then by all means I'll let you guys know. But I definitely want to plan, for those that have been here for a while, I definitely want to plan a Winter Soldier watch party over on the Discord channel sometime soon. I would say within the next 2 days, so keep an eye out for that. I think that would be super duper fun. But in the meantime, this was just something fun to do. I had a lot of fun with the tier list last time, ranking all the fast food and stuff like that. And so yeah, this has been super duper fun. I don't know how many of these like tier lists and stuff we're gonna do in the future, but certainly it's always fun to do. And who knows, maybe one day I will I'll fork up the $2 for GeoGuessr in order to do GeoGuessr streams just for silliness. I think because there's such a big gap between Saturday and the next stream, I think Saturdays are going to be very much not like anything in particular. It'll either be like community days like Mario Kart, or some random silly things like, tier lists, or just chatting streams, or, Final Fantasy 14. I thought heavily about streaming Final Fantasy 14 today, but decided to do this instead. So, yeah. Otherwise, that'll do it for me for today, folks. Thank you so much for spending some of your Saturday morning or afternoon here with me. I truly, truly appreciate it. if we do more tier lists in the future, I would always obviously be open to suggestions and stuff like that, to what a lot of people would think would be a cool thing to, I guess, get some opinions on and stuff like that. But for now, my throat hurts. I've been talking nonstop for almost 3 hours, which is not a good sign for the upcoming subathon on Saturday. But yeah, that'll do it, everybody. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful, happy, great rest of your day. And if I don't see you on the Discord channel for the watch party for Winter Soldier, and potentially even more watch parties in the future, then we'll see you when we see you. Until next time, everybody, take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful day. And I'll be seeing you around. Bye.